31st December marks World AIDS Day. And to mark World AIDS Day today, Savannah Signatures, with support from UNESCO, brings to you a discussion on this year's AIDS theme, which is End Inequality, End AIDS, End Pandemic. And we have Madam Patience today in the studio. She's the regional health promoter to join in today's discussion. Welcome, Madam Patience.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me.
Okay, so this year's theme is End Inequality, End AIDS, and End Pandemic. What do you make of the theme?
All right. Well, World AIDS Day, like you said, every 1st December is set aside to commemorate the day. And this year the theme is End Inequality, End AIDS, and End the Pandemic. So the essence is to look at the structural inequalities that exist, so that commitment from leaders can go into that area, so that we can end those inequalities, and at the end of the day, we'll end AIDS in the world and also end the pandemic and also prevent future pandemics. So the effort is to make sure that we look at the inequalities that exist, which also includes the availability of access to medicines and all other structural inequalities that is hindering the achievement of ending HIV/AIDS by 2030 as the goal that has been set. Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the current statistics of the rate of infection among young people. What is the situation right now? Is it dwindling? Is it going up?
Okay, so the situation in general is not that bad, but if you look at the data that we have available, infections among the young people, especially from the age of about 25 to 29, is steadily progressing as you look over the years, and that is quite worrying. And so there's a lot that we need to do as young people to make sure we prevent the spread among the youth especially, so that we can have a very healthy future, because we have a lot ahead of us as young people, and to be able to achieve all those things, HIV/AIDS is one of the things that we also need to look at, so that we can prevent in our journey as we grow. Yes.
So what is accounting for this progression?
Well, as we all know, before you can acquire the virus, mostly it's through sexual intercourse. And we know that the youth especially engage in very risky behaviors, because that is the age at which they feel that they also want to explore their world, and so having sex is one of the interest areas at that age. And that is when, if they don't take the precaution, they may get infected. Because if you have unprotected sex, you don't even know who you're having the sex with. If you have multiple partners, then your risk at getting the infection is very, very high. And as young as you are, as a young adult, you may not be willing to take advice, because at that time you feel that you are grown, you want to be independent. So, and you go along with your friends, you want to belong. So you will want to engage into things that they call, that is at the time a civilization or that kind of, because at every age generation there are things that comes up and everybody wants to be part of it, and so you get yourself exposed. And that is why we think that young people have to be particularly cautious. Who are you having the sex with? Do you know that person? And even if you know the person, HIV, it's not something that is written in anybody's forehead. Yeah. So you can't just look into my face and know that I have HIV or not.
True.
So we just have to be cautious and take precaution so that we don't get ourselves infected. Yes.
So I was reading an article yesterday, and I saw that HIV/AIDS is the leading cause of death among young people. That is those between the ages of 20 to 24, and also the leading cause of death globally. Why are young people vulnerable to HIV?
They are vulnerable because of the risky behavior that they engage at that point in their life. So you realize that is the age that you have a lot of youthful activities going on in our schools, at senior high, at university. And that is the time we want to experience all that is happening around us. So the youth eventually becomes more vulnerable because of where they are or they find themselves at that time. So definitely you will want to go to parties, visit few friends, and of course respond to peer pressure. Because that is the time that a lot of your peers will think that at your age, if you don't have a girlfriend, then there's something wrong with you. Or if you don't have a boyfriend, then there's something wrong with you. So you also want to go and taste what people are talking about, and you succumb. And once you succumb, if you're not very fortunate and you don't also take precaution by using a condom or something, then you may fall into it. So the youth actually, because of, the curiosity and wanting to have a feel of life at that time. And again, youthful exuberance. At that youthful age, we are not too particular about risk. We like to take risk. We don't really matter. We don't really care what happens after that. So it's only as you grow that you begin to reason and think twice about what you do. But at the youthful age, you don't really think deeply into the consequences of what you are doing. That's why they are more vulnerable at that age. Yes.
So today's whole discussion is focused on young people.
Yeah.
So I wanted to. There's something that has been bothering me. You know, when you go to the hospital, sometimes to access a service, they are taking your age into consideration.
Yeah.
Sometimes for certain services, they say if you don't bring an adult or a parent, we are not going to let you get the service. You know, and when it comes to testing for HIV. As someone that is, say, below 18, I think for Ghana, that is it. If you are below 18, you probably need a guarantor for a lot of things. So if you are testing, if you are looking to check your HIV status, do you need, and you are below 18, do you need an adult to be present to aid you to do that?
No, not really. You know, in Ghana, the age for consent to sex is 16.
16,
yes. So as long as you are 16 years and above, you can decide to have sex with whoever you think you want to. So the same way, if you want to go in and check for your HIV status, you don't really need your parent. You don't need a friend. You just have to walk in as an individual and you can get tested, and it's free. So you don't really need your parents at all.
So younger people
exactly, unless of course there's a suspicion or a threat that probably a parent would want to accompany the young adult to the testing set. Otherwise, you really have your freedom. Yes, you don't need any parents to guarantee anything. You can just walk in there and get tested.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So in your earlier submission, you mentioned how the numbers are progressing steadily.
Yeah.
What I want to know is does this mean that more young people are willing to know their HIV status now? Is that it? Has there been increment in testing and all of that?
Okay, so in the general statistics, there has been increase in the rate at testing. But you know that because of stigma, HIV is not something people usually want to discuss. And so talking about how they go about it is always quite difficult for a lot of people. But from the data, we realize that the rate of testing is increasing. But for the adolescents, I've not really checked that specifically, but generally it is, and so that includes that of the young people as well. But it's not as fast as it should, okay? Because usually you are afraid, even for adults.
Yeah.
We fear to know our status.
I have a friend who says he never wants to know his status.
Exactly.
He prefers to die without knowing. Yeah.
So it's the same way for the young people. They are not really interested in going to test. But strategies that are being employed now, I mean, it's encouraging them to do so, because it's better to know than never. So for this year, a lot of centers have been set up in the secondary schools, all to encourage young people to come and test and know their status. But to willingly test, it's not that fast. But then the rate is going up all right. But we need them to test more.
Okay.
You should not be afraid, you know. They say when you get to know, you will die faster. Because it is already, because the moment you get to know, you will think that, hey, so I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And from that moment, you begin to think of when and how you are going to die, and then it even kills you faster than the disease. But I want to say that HIV is not a curse, and it doesn't kill as we think. It's just like any other chronic disease, like diabetes, like hypertension. If you get it, you just be on medication. Anybody on the hypertension is on medication for life. So if you get HIV, in the same way, you'll be on medication. So we shouldn't be so afraid to know our status at all. Just get tested, and if you are positive, that is not the end of your life. Not at all. There are measures you can still follow, and you should still live a normal life. So we shouldn't be afraid at all to test. Yes.
Okay. So aside with the testing issue, I don't know about now, but for us growing up, anytime people talked about HIV, it was always they always used the fear approach. They talked about HIV in such scary terms that up until I became much older, I didn't even think that it is something that you can manage and live a healthy life if you get it. Could that fear approach be the reason why a lot of people are hesitant about checking their HIV status?
Yes. And in fact, the fear has not gone down at all, because people still have, that notion that once you get it, you're going to die. But we need to let the public know that if you have it, you still have medicine to take. The antiretrovirals are there for you to be put on, and that will help you to live your normal life. And nobody may even know. People who have HIV, and if you meet them and they tell you they have HIV, you say no, because they are not that thin. They are still plump. They look beautiful, nice, and you will not even suspect. It is only when you get to the AIDS state that your symptoms will now begin to be prominent, and people will get to know, because you will grow thin and you will not be that attractive. But at the time that you have you can have the virus for more than 10 years and without even realizing that you even have the virus. And that is why it's more important that we test and know before it takes us by surprise. So the fear there is still there, but it's not necessary because there's medication.
Okay, so do you believe that there are barriers making it difficult to prevent HIV among young people?
Yes. In fact, the biggest one is the stigma.
Okay.
Because once a relative or a colleague gets to know that you have HIV, I'm sure some of them may not even greet you again. They will see you in but nobody will want to come close. Okay? And so for that alone, it's very difficult for people who are positive in the society.
Yeah.
Again, the barriers are in terms of the medicines, especially with the coming of COVID-19. There has been shortages in so many medicines across all the diseases that we have, and HIV is one of them. But still, efforts are being made to make sure that the antiretrovirals are available in adequate quantities for everybody. Apart from that, you see how our health facilities are, especially for the adolescents. If you are positive and you are going to the health facility to take your medication, you may have to go through the general OPD or a place where there are so many people, and a positive person may not be that comfortable. But one thing we have made sure is that where we attend to these people are not boldly labeled for everybody to know that if you are going here, then it means you are HIV positive. So that is an encouraging word for them, that as you walk into the facility, nobody may even know that you are positive. So they should still go to the facilities even when they are positive, because the structural arrangements there do not favor a lot of people, and because of that, they don't even go for their medication. So they sit at home, and the condition becomes worse, because they are shy of the place where they go for their medication. So these are some of the challenges that exist, but things are improving, and so I know because of some of these barriers, people have to travel long distance for their medication. We have somebody in Tamale here who will go to Accra every 3 months for the medication, because they don't want anybody to suspect. And all this is inconvenience. You ask yourself, how long will you keep traveling, and even the cost, when you can easily walk to a facility that is close to you? But because of all this stigma and the fear of people getting to know, they still have to go through all these challenges.
When you mentioned that there aren't clearly labeled places for people to say, okay, if you go here, you're trying to check your HIV status. It reminded me of a story. So, not really a story, this is a personal experience. I remember when I wanted to check my HIV status for the very first time, I walked into the hospital and I met this lady, a nurse. And then I said, oh, I want to check my HIV status. And then she told me that, okay, fine, go here. That's where the HIV people go. and that was actually accompanied by a look, like I'm judging you, like you are such a, I was very, I think I was between 15, 16.
No, it's already concluded.
And she looked at me from head to toe, and she's like, go here, that's where the HIV people go.
So it's conclusive already that.
And I actually went home. I didn't check my status that day.
You see?
it was really difficult. So I'm like, well, so, I had to go back home.
Yes. So that comes to the attitude of health professionals, and in fact, it's a key challenge, because some people have actually complained about health workers actually going to tell other people about their status, and it has been a lot of issues. But in every institution, the bad nuts are there, because these are people who have been trained to keep confidentiality.
Yeah.
But once or twice, you get some people who would not just keep their mouths shut. But where such people are identified, in fact, they will be investigated and punished appropriately, because the confidentiality has to be there. Once I confide in you, and even those working in those units are people who have been trained not to go around spreading news about people, and even the way like she spoke to you, it's not appropriate. And that is one of the things that is actually...
Because you actually said this is where the HIV people go. So
Yes.
I'm assuming that they feel like at that point, everybody that goes there
is positive.
It's positive.
Yes.
And I just wanted an HIV test done.
Exactly. And everybody, those around there would just conclude.
Yes,
that,
yes.
So this lady...
Exactly. I think we're just in front of the OPD with people seated there. Like when I asked her, and then she was like, "Oh, okay, go here. This is where the HIV people go," and then looked at me like this.
So that is one of the issues. Anyway, it does happen.
Okay. So moving on, when young people are tested and they are positive for the virus, what is the support system like for them at the health center?
Oh, there's a lot of support. The first one is that you will put on medication. The antiretrovirals are there. And then the social support system is there. There are clubs. But like we are saying, if people get to know that these people, they meet at this time, at this point, then the stigmatization begins. So all the detailed information are things that are shared at the facility, so that people don't carry information around. So if an adolescent is positive, no worries at all. There's medicine to help you survive, and there are other social support systems that are available that you'll be taken through once you go to the facility. So there's hope.
Okay. So talking about support system, are there support groups at the hospital?
Yes, there are. We have people trained for that, and apart from that, even the positive people form this kind of social group that they meet and discuss about their condition and how they can live with it and what they can do to be happy. Those groups are there, but then we don't want to sell it out there for people to begin to be thinking, okay, so if you see someone who is doing this or who is among this group and all that, then it means the person is positive. Yeah. But the systems are there. So I can assure everybody that if you are positive, don't worry at all. You get the medication, and there are other ways and social support systems that are there that you'll be introduced to, and you'll be fine with it. So like I said, getting HIV, it's not a curse, and it doesn't mean that's the end of the world. Not at all. Just like any other chronic disease that you just have to be put on medication for life. That is it. So people shouldn't be afraid at all.
Okay, so talking about medication, are ARVs readily available?
They are, and they are free as well. They are available, but as I was saying, with the coming in of COVID, there have been challenges with a lot of essential medicines. And I think for some time it was difficult, but now the situation is stabilizing, so they are readily available.
Okay, so aside the ARVs, are there other kinds of treatments that are attached to HIV that people have to pay for?
Not really, because the disease condition actually comes with symptoms at a point when your immune system gets very deteriorated. So they will be managing the symptoms as they come in. They are all part of the disease condition treatment, and so we shouldn't, unless of course there's a test that has to be done, and the facility where you are assessing the service, they don't have it, then you have to go outside and run the test, and that is where you will pay. But within the health facility, everything is supposed to be free.
So moving forward, what are some of the ways by which we can support young people living with HIV?
In fact, the most and essential part is being kind to them, showing them love and care. Because they go through a lot, especially at the first stage, the denial stage. You don't even believe that it's true that you are positive, and you'll be wondering how you got it. And it's difficult for you to accept that it's true that you have it, because you feel that your world has come to an end. So that is the time that they need that care, especially from the parents, from the family, and the society. If you begin to condemn them and blame them for, living probably a certain kind of life, and so falling into that ditch, then you kill them faster. The disease will not kill them, but the way we treat them may even kill them. So anybody who is positive needs what? Love, tender love and care, for them to know that it's not all over, it's not all that's fault, you can still make it in life. But if we begin to stigmatize them and reject them, then we will be pushing them to their death. So all they need is love and care. And like I said, if you're in treatment and you follow all the measures that have been taught, you will live a normal life and nobody will even know that you are HIV positive. So I think that is the major thing that they need from us. Just love and care.
Okay,
yes.
So can we also say that when it comes to HIV, can we blame young people not having access to quality essential education as one of the causes?
Oh, sure, it's one. It's one. Because as they grow, there's a lot that they need to be educated on. They don't know a lot of things, and so if we fail to give them the education needed, and they get themselves infected, then we cannot blame them much. But just that, as an adolescent growing up, sometimes you feel that you are grown. That kind of self-independence make them do things that they are not supposed to do. So you advise them, and they may not take. They say food to sacrifice by this one, unless they fall into it, then they come back and say that, oh, so this is what my parents or my family was trying to caution me, but I didn't listen. So in fact, that is really the challenge that we have, but we can still do a lot to help them. Let's give them every information that they need about themselves as they grow, and that will be the starting point. Then the other ones, probably as they go through life, they will also encounter, especially in our secondary schools and the tertiary level. That is where the problem is more, because of the exposure. They want to go out, they want to explore, and that is the time that they are likely to get themselves exposed. But we can still guide them as parents. Yes.
So, moving on, prevention. What are some of the things we can do to prevent?
There's a lot. HIV, we know it can be prevented. The first and foremost and the best would be abstinence. But unfortunately, can the young abstain? How many of them do abstain? That's the problem. Otherwise, abstinence is the best. As a young person, you need to concentrate on your goals, finish your schooling, get married, and then you can do whatever you want to do with yourself. But as young as they are curious, they want to explore. So not all are able to abstain. So if you cannot abstain, then condom use should be the way to go. Or be faithful to your partner. But the question is, if you're faithful to your partner, how sure are you that your partner will be faithful to you? So that's another challenge. So if you can't also do that, then just the condom again is just the way to go. And again, we know that if you like sharing things with friends, that includes even toothbrush. Sometimes I get surprised that in the secondary schools, some people say, oh, I washed my panties, left them on the dry line, and later on they were not there, somebody has taken it. So if you can go as far as picking a colleague's panty to wear, then you can share a lot of things. And that's how come some people share sponge to the extent of even sharing toothbrush. And through that toothbrush, you could pick the infection from an infected person. So sharing, those sharps is not advisable. Shaving stick, you don't need to use a colleague's shaving stick. For what? Get your own, because if you do that, you're putting yourself at risk. You don't know the person's HIV status. So if you are sharing things with them, then you have to be very, very, very careful. It's not even advisable. You don't even have to do that. And then piercing, body piercing. Tattoo has become the order of the day. Young people admire people who have tattooed, celebrity, and my icon, my idol, and they want to do as they are doing. But we know that through that, you can also expose yourself. So if we are doing tattoo, then let's be sure that where we are doing it, the instruments are well sterilized. Even at the barbering shop, we have to be careful. The blade the person is using, I know that it will not be common now for the barber to use one blade for 2 ml, but it's still possible.
Yeah.
So you just have to be watchful. But if it's using a machine, then we make sure that the machine is well sterilized. Okay, so I think if young people are able to follow these measures, they should be able to prevent HIV. So the condom is something that I think that they should try and do. If they cannot abstain, then they should be looking at using a condom anytime they want to have sex, because unprotected sex will put them at risk of getting HIV.
Okay, so to wrap up, your final words for people living with HIV and for other young people too.
Okay. So what I would say is that HIV is real. It's increasing. It's not going anywhere. And so if we live our lives as if there's nothing, we will be deceived. So we should rather protect ourselves. Use a condom if you think you can't abstain, and make sure that you live a life that is free of risk. Young people like risky lifestyles, like smoking, like to drink, and at the end of the day, some even sleep outside their homes. Only God knows what happens when they sleep outside their homes. So the risky behaviors, we should be careful, and parents should come in and guide their children, give them all the love and care, and the society should not stigmatize people who have HIV. It's not a death sentence at all. And if you have it, have hope that there is life for you to the fullest, because there's medication and you live normal like any other person. So AIDS is real, and let's all try to end AIDS and end the pandemic. But if we end it now, we prevent future pandemics at this team says. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Patience. You heard it all, people. Today's discussion has been on the theme of AIDS this year, which is End Inequality and AIDS and End Pandemic. This program was brought to you with support from UNESCO. UNESCO is supporting Savannah Signatures to implement youth empowerment projects in the Central and South Tong districts in the Volta region of Ghana. The youth project is seeking at introducing adolescent girls and boys to accurate, age-appropriate reproductive health education in 38 junior high school. And this is also in partnership with the Ghana Education Service. To wrap it up, today's World AIDS Day, I've been saying it, and today we are taking a message from Ms. MFA on behalf of the Savannah Signatures team.
Good day to you, our viewers, and thank you so much, Rahel, and then her resource person, for bringing us today's program. This issue of sexually transmitted infections is critical to us, especially young people. Savannah Signatures, we do understand that. That's why we focus a lot of our interventions in ensuring that you young people out there have the right information and also are able to easily access health services so that you live healthier lives. Our resource person said it, and we want to reiterate it. Life is, someone will say, sweet. Life is good. Please take care of yourself. It is necessary. HIV/AIDS is still real amidst this COVID-19 pandemic that we are still living in. We cannot do anything about it but to ask you to live risk-free lives. We need to ensure our own safety out there. What do we have to do? Please protect yourself. It is imperative. Please protect yourself. We've said it. Faithfulness is one of them. Abstinence is one of them. But for me and Asia, protection is key in all your endeavors. They have mentioned a couple of mediums through which the transmission happens. Please, we know nowadays we share a lot of things. Even the human beings, we are sharing them. But please out there, be safe. Let's have a sense of self, how do you call it? A sense of self, so that we understand all of these issues and protect ourselves from HIV and AIDS. You can call us on AGO 5100 or on SHE+ 0800 001122 to get more information on this topic and other related ones, or to be linked to a psychologist to counsel you. If you need referrals to a health facility to test, please call us. We will make those arrangements for you. It's your life, it's your choice, like we say. You only live once. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MFA. So you heard from Madam Patience and you heard from MFA. I think that at this point, anything else I would say would basically be repeating everything else that they've said. But also, still from the SavSign TV team, I want to say that thank you very much for tuning in today. This is not Young Voices Forum. Young Voices Forum will still come on Friday, so look out for it. Today is just a special edition to mark the World AIDS Day. So choose life, choose yourself. They say it's your life, it's your choice, but be particular about the choice you make so that someday it doesn't go against you. Protect yourself. That has been the running message through it all today. Protect yourself. Abstinence is key, but if you cannot abstain, then please properly use condom. Let's learn to be faithful to our partners. Check your status regularly. HIV is not a death sentence. The earlier you know your status, the earlier you start managing it, and the longer you live. So from all of us here, take care of yourself until we come your way. Same time on Friday, that is 3 p.m. My name is Rahel Enchi, and it is bye for now.